2015 is upon us. And I just want to ask you a few questions. You know, this time of year, many people are evaluating, you know, where things have been, where they're going, and all these different kinds of things. And I just want to ask you some questions. You know, as you evaluate, you know, are you getting where you want to get to? You know, and if you're not, let's talk about changing some things, and let's just discuss this. See, you know, when the tombstone comes around and the time that you get put in the ground, which I know is not a very good topic to think about, but when that does happen, there's a day when you started and then there's a day when you were done. And in the middle, there's this dash. You know, we don't choose when we get to start and we don't choose when we get to finish. But what we do choose is what the dash is all about. And unfortunately, many people in life, they get started, they take off, and they get just caught up in the matrix of our world. And that's, you know, going to work and coming home, and going to work and coming home, going to work, coming home, and getting a couple of weeks off of vacation, and not getting to choose a whole lot of things in life. But, you know, I believe the day that your life started, that God put dreams in your heart. He set those in there. He set passions and desires. But as you got older, what happened is those disappeared, didn't they? They went away. You pushed them under the rug. You didn't want to think about them. There was a time when you did think about them and you were very excited about them, but you know, shortly after you got to be about 15, 16, 17, for sure after about 20 years old, those things started to fade away. And unfortunately, you got caught up in the matrix. And see, God put those dreams in there, and you know, we're at the beginning of a new year. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because God put those dreams in there for a specific reason. He wants you to chase after those and pursue those. And I know you maybe would like to believe that, but you're not sure that you do. You see, for me personally, several years ago, that's where I was at. And as I started to evaluate, you know, where things were at the present time, you know, I looked down the road another 5 years, didn't like what I saw. And I asked myself several questions, and some of those questions were, why did I get put here on this planet? What's my purpose of being here? And as I started thinking about those things, and I started, you know, having the courage to think about the passions I had in my life and the things that I wanted to do, the bucket list items, you know, where I wanted to give money away to, the people I wanted to impact, things I want to do for my family, you know, all these things, I started making me a list. I'd encourage you to make a list. But as I started evaluating the list, there was two things that challenged me from getting those. What really stopped me from getting to the things on the list were two things. The same two things are stopping you. The first one is probably money. The second one is time. See, the dreams that God put in your heart, most of those dreams in there are tied to the scenario of having enough time or having enough money. And that's an unfortunate situation, but that's the reality of what it is. So if you just think about, if I had unlimited time and I had more money than I could spend, what would you be doing? And I know maybe you ventured into that thought process before, just for not very long, because you said that's not a reality. Well, see, I thought the same thing, and then eventually I got introduced to this idea of world ventures. I found out it could be different. In fact, it did become different, radically different, where I could have time and money together. But this isn't about, you know, you being part of World Ventures. What this video is really about is, you know, helping you just figure out in your mind, what is it that can reset the autopilot? See, I think you're in the spot you're in today based on the choices you've made, the thoughts you've had, and whether you like it or not, you're exactly where you want to be. I had somebody tell me that several years ago, and I wanted to argue with them, and I said, that's not true. I'm not where I want to be. But I was where I wanted to be because it was based on the choices and the thoughts that I had. And so when I think back to about 9 or 10 years ago, when I made a decision that the dreams that God put in my heart that I want to chase after and pursue, and that time and money were a problem, I had a vehicle that could change that. But in order to run down that road and change that, I had over time built up all these thoughts, these wrong thoughts. The thinking that I had brought me to the point to where I was. And I said, you know what, I got to go to the root of the problem, and the root of the problem is what's in here and how my thinking is done. and I got to change that. And what I want to challenge you to do in 2015 as we start this off, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to revisit this, and I'm actually going to come back with a video here again in a few days that's going to talk about some strategies on how to, move past this. But what I want you to do is I want you to just grasp a hold of that the autopilot that you have in your life is set in a certain course. That course was set based on the thoughts and the things that go in your mind. All the negative stuff that comes in, all your negative thoughts are plotting your course. Most of them are not very positive thoughts. And what I want to share with you is we can change those things. See, there was a day that came that I decided to. I decided to change those. I did change those. It was a very hard process to create new habits. But there's no time than better right now. And if you have some things over here that you'd like to do, you got to start at the root. You got to start changing what that is. I've got a video that I want to, or not a video, I got an audio on my blog that I want you to go to. It's called Reset Your Autopilot. As you're starting to set new goals and have new plans for 2015 and you want to change some things that have been back here and you want new things over here, you have to change the autopilot. What is directing your life? All right? The thoughts that you have right now are creating the results you're getting. We got to have new thoughts. We got to start new habits. We got to change to new things. And when you do that, all of a sudden the effort that you put out with your World Ventures business or whatever you're doing, the effort that you put out, what takes place and happens, the results will be tenfold of what you thought they could be because now you're going in a different direction. I hope some of this is helpful to you. I'm going to come back with some other videos because I want you to live the dreams that God's put in your heart. You deserve to, all right? But there's a little bit of a mystery on how to do it, and we're going to try to uncover some of those on my next video. Go to my blog, watch Reset Your Autopilot. I think it'll help you. I'll see you real soon.